This is pretty darn crazy. An insane new Calgary Flames trade report has dropped, and essentially what it boils down to is almost no one is off the trade block. This makes sense for a rebuilding team, but could they make a massive trade with one of their division rivals in the process? We're going to get into all that and more in this video, but first I want to welcome you to Flames Digest. I'm Mark Griffith. If you're new around here and you love the Flames, make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest news, updates, reports, and rumors revolving around your Calgary Flames. We would love to welcome you to the Flames Digest family, and look, everybody is on the block. It's not just, Jenny. It is everybody at this point. And look, this overall, it does make sense for a team that has essentially solidified itself as a rebuilding team. Craig Conroy finally did what most of the fans wanted in this city, in this fan base for so long, and seemed to just sell the ship. Obviously trading away Andersson, trading away Kadri, trading away Weegar, of course. Now, the latest trade report here is this. So according to sources, the Flames are open to move any guys other than Dustin Wolf, Matt Vagridden, Matt Coronato, and Zane Parekh. This comes from Anthony DeMarco on the Flames off-season plans. And again, a lot of people will say this isn't too groundbreaking, but another part of, me, of the fan base, of a lot of hockey fans in general is that, whoa, that's only 4 guys. And, usually on NHL teams, there's, I'd say, roughly about 10 guys who you'd say, maybe I wouldn't want to trade that guy. I see him as being part of the plans for the future. For the Flames, there really aren't that many. Obviously, there are some prospects you can probably add to this list, but obviously DeMarco here just talking about NHL guys. You would assume guys like, Reshny, Potter, Wittenbach, a few more would also be guys that are not necessarily untouchables, but players that they're not willing to move. Or open to move, I guess is the verbiage here. I'll stick to that. But either way, this is quite crazy. So just Wolf, Gridden, Coronato, Parekh. And a lot of people would say, hey, Coronato, if you can swing him for something big, go for it. And I know a lot of people are totally not on board for that either. I would love to keep Coronato. I actually met him one time, and he said something funny to me, so I'll always love him for that. But either way, DeMarco also wrote an article. I'm not going to go over the whole thing, but make sure you stay tuned to the end because like I said in the intro of this video, it could all lead up to maybe a trade with one of our division rivals. Might be the Kraken based off what you saw. But either way, among the players most likely on the move, Ford Blake Coleman is an obvious name that should be kept on our radars. Coleman, 34 years old, was at the heart of trade speculation leading up to the 2026 NHL trade deadline. He has 1 year remaining on his contract and carries an AAV of just under $5 million, along with a 10-team approved trade list. The player holds all the cards with the ability to veto more than 2/3 of the teams across the league, but given his Stanley Cup pedigree and style of play, he will be an attractive name for contenders looking to round out their depth. And again, it's not like a Blake Coleman trade rumors are anything new. It's just that out of the guys left, all of the Flames barring those 4 we just saw, Coleman probably the most likely. Next is Sharangovich, and a lot of Flames fans would like to see him traded. But Sharky has yet to replicate his 59-point inaugural campaign in Calgary 3 seasons ago, and could be someone Conroy would ideally like off the books. Excuse me. The soon-to-be 28-year-old former Devil draft pick logged just 29 points in 78 games this season, landing him on the 4th line to finish the campaign. And keep in mind, I swear about 25 of those points came in the last 10 games of this season, it felt. The problem with Sharky is his contract, which carries an AAV of $5.75 million up until 2030 and includes a 10-team no-trade list. And that overall isn't a good contract, but the good thing is that it gets the Flames to the salary cap floor since it's going up so much. But that's if he still is a Flame. The cap is set to skyrocket, there you go. And the free agent class is as shallow as it gets, so there may be a team looking to bite on Sharky's potential to rebound, but the Flames likely won't get much back for him. But again, I think a lot of people would be down for his roster spot to no longer be taken. I like Sharangovich, but it hasn't worked out at all. Morgan Frost, another one, was acquired from the Flyers midway through the 2024-25 season and has been a mainstay at center for Calgary in their middle 6. Frosty, 27, recorded a career-high 22 goals this season, along with 43 points. He's a valuable player for the Flames, but with the entire league on a perpetual hunt for help at center, he could be a valuable trade chip for Conroy. Frost also has an attractive contract with little commitment involved signed until 2027 at $4.375 million AAV. He has an 8-team no-trade list that kicks in next season. And look, I don't want to trade Frost. If you can get something crazy for him, go for it. But, I mean, yes, a lot of NHL teams need help at center. We might be the team that needs it the most, other than maybe the Canucks. But Again, I wouldn't love trading Frost, especially with that chemistry he built towards the end of the season. I mean, we already know he has a bunch of chemistry with Farabee, but the chemistry he seemed to be building, obviously, with Grid and Coronato, just, I don't know, keep them together. Joel Farabee, speaking of him, wow, I guess I skipped one, but we can go back. Joel Farabee was acquired along with Frost 16 months ago and has been used up and down the lineup. Though versatility is arguably Farabee's biggest asset, it is also one that makes it hard for teams and coaches to factor him into the lineup. Sources from other teams have told the Daily Faceoff. The 26-year-old has 2 years remaining on his contract at $5 million, along with zero trade protection. Farabee could be an attractive asset for another team looking for middle six help, but much like Sharkey, will likely not garner that much in the way of return for the Flames. The Lightning seem like the type of team that could use a versatile Farabee type player as they try to get younger in their middle six, and that's obviously very true. I mean, look, the Lightning kind of crashed out of the playoffs early this year. They might want to go for someone like Farabee. Another name pretty crazy is Connor Zary. So Connor Zary held out on his contract until late September last season. I almost forgot about that, to be honest. Ultimately signing a 3-year, $11.3 million deal. There had been noise about unhappiness in the relationship from both the player and the team, specifically centered around the player playing on the wing versus at center. DFO was told throughout the season from more than one source. Zary's disappointing 27-point season could make him a trade candidate for Conroy, and Zary would surely be an intriguing piece for a team looking to take a flyer on a young talent in need of a change of scenery. If he's moved, the Habs seem like the type of team that would explore this option, much like they have done with Alex Newhook, Kirby Dach, and Zachary Bolduc in the past. And yeah, maybe. I mean, Zary, he just seems like he could be a Sam Bennett 2.0, where he's just not used well when he's a member of the Flames and then leaves and then plays really, really well. I don't know. You can talk about the injuries. You can talk about how he just seems to not play with as much confidence. And that makes sense for someone who's been beat up so much. But yeah, a lot of people are okay with Zary, not being on the roster or someone else taking his spot. But I think I speak for most of the fan base in saying I would rather keep Zary around, to be quite honest, especially through this transitional phase. Just use him right, and I think he could be a great player, obviously. Who's next here? Wow. Who isn't next here? There's the obvious name of Jonathan Huberdeau as someone the Flames would ideally like to move off of, but if we're being realistic, there's little chance of that happening. Center Ryan Strome and defenseman Zach Whitecloud are definitely options that Conroy could dangle on the trade block, but they may be more valuable to the Flames as veteran pieces rather than fetching whatever they are worth on the trade front. I think a lot of people would agree with that. Look, when we acquired both of them at the trade deadline, that's a thought that went to most fans' heads was, look, these guys are just more trade chips, especially Whitecloud, but keeping him around seems almost invaluable at this point. Ryan Strome just loves the Calgary Flames, apparently. Everything he's said this offseason, would love to keep him around, too. You think of a guy like Olli Mata as well, also acquired right at the deadline. He could be a trade chip, believe it or not, with the stats he was putting up for the Flames. Olli McInnes, Olli Makar. The Flames have stockpiled assets during their rebuild at this point. They remain in seller mode entering the summer. The question now is how much further will Conroy and his staff trim his roster down before invariably looking to build it back up, and it may be dependent on what other teams are looking to pay up for. But either way, we know the Flames have a lot of assets, both in terms of players and picks. They could make a big splash, which does lead me to, I guess, the thing that almost inspired this whole video, but it's this report from a little while ago. But the Kraken have a willingness to move Shane Wright and their 7th overall pick. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to move either of them or both of them in the same package, but could you imagine the Flames make a big trade with Seattle for both Wright and the 7th overall pick? The Flames are currently slated at the 6th overall pick. Would they have to trade the 6th and just go back to 7th and assume you're going to get one of those kind of top 7 guys from the draft anyway, as well as Shane Wright? Or do you kind of make a package that doesn't involve the 6th with some of the vets? What does Seattle want? Are they in kind of a win-now mode in this not-so-good Pacific Division? Could they pick up, a few of our veterans and try and compete in the Pacific Division and into the playoffs and further? I don't really know. I got to be honest. The Kraken might be one of the teams I know the absolute least of in the NHL. But either way, knowing that this is on the table, we've explored options for trading up to number 2 with San Jose, number 4 with Chicago. Could we trade down or at least acquire both, or have both the 6th and 7th pick and then trade up? I don't know. There's so many different options this could go, but knowing that this is on the table as well. I know in a video very recently we talked about potentially acquiring Shane Wright as one of those young forwards Drager's talking about the Flames want. But the 7th overall pick too, knowing that's in play, there's a lot of fun things that could happen. This overall, kind of some insane trade reports here. Was happy to share them with you guys, and please feel free to let me know down below in the comments what you think. And speaking of comments, let's get into the comment of the day, which comes from the most recent video, of course. And this one comes from Steve here saying, trade up to number 4 and then use the number 4 pick to move up to number 2. We have a ton of assets and draft picks. This is what you stockpile for. We don't need 7 more wingers. True. We need 1 generational player. And I think a lot of people would agree. We don't have to use all these picks and draft, and draft people with all of them. You can then use the prospects, obviously, in trades, but giving your trade partner the option of who they want to pick with those draft picks is a little bit more valuable. And it's so true. We have so many assets. We could use them to move up in this draft more than once, apparently, but it is quite cool. If we can get a number or a top 2 pick, I think no one would be upset about that. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe if you're here today and have a wonderful rest of your day.